Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. My name is Claude White yet again, and this is the Pittsburgh Steeler Report. And yeah, I understand it's a little weird since I am a Steeler fan from New York City, but to be quite honest, and thanks for the like, please make sure to hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen, on the way in or on the way out. Um, I know I'm a little late. I watched the Steelers game. Well, I watched a whole bunch of games. I mean, let's face it, I do have the NFL Red Zone, and I tell you, Steelers look bad. No question about it. I understand it was a close game. I mean, they showed some glimpses, but let's be fair. And I'm going to be honest, in a way, I'm sort of glad this is happening because the sooner we move on from Ben Roethlisberger, the better. And I understand that that sounds a little weird because, in my opinion, Big Ben does give us the best chance to win. And as you remember, I did question the trading of Josh Dobbs for only a fifth-round draft pick. And as you see, the Jacksonville Jaguars didn't exactly use him today. I can't even pronounce the quarterback's name. And he was pretty decent for them. But I'm going to stick with the Steelers, of course. Hey, due process, I appreciate it. How are you doing this evening? And you know what? Just as a reminder, I will be doing yet another I don't give a darn. I'm cleaning up right now because, trust me, the live stream I'm going to do later will not be this PG-13, I can guarantee. But anyway, yeah, I do think it is time for Big Ben to retire. Listen, I was pushing, and if you guys have seen any of my Steeler reports, especially during the offseason, when they got rid of Le'Veon Bell, when they got rid of Antonio Brown, listen, as far as I'm concerned, Ben should have went too. And I understand that Ben won 2 titles before those guys even got on there, and we never won anything with the so-called Killer Bees. And I did think that the Steelers were built better to win this particular season. But it is time to move on from Big Ben Roethlisberger. I really wanted them to trade him to either the Redskins. No problem, due process. Don't worry, we love you. But I was sick of Ben because as bad as Antonio Brown has acted, and trust me, Antonio Brown is a whole clown. He definitely is. I have very little sympathy for him. Now, do I believe that he raped this woman? Absolutely not. And I went through this yesterday, so I'm not going to go through that again. But Ben Roethlisberger has as much to do with why the Steelers haven't won diddly squat as much as any other player on that Steeler team. Now, I understand he doesn't play defense. I understand that. And the defense gave up a couple of touchdowns which were ridiculous. And I understand that's probably due to Devin Bush being a rookie. He was out of position a couple of times. He's not ready to take on these tight ends yet. I get it. Now, there were a couple of terrible calls in that particular game, too. The penalty they called on Lance McCullers is an absolute joke. That is a disgrace. He split the line. He did not hold. That was a terrible, terrible call. They gave the Seattle Seahawks a touchdown on that one. Then the pass interference call, that was an absolute joke too. That was good coverage. Sometimes it feels like the Steelers are playing away games when they play at home. I'm telling you, it is ridiculous how bad some of these calls are in the NFL. And I understand it's not just the Steelers. I get it. But it seems like every other time they get a terrible call, and it's when they're at home. They get better treatment on the damn road. But Ben Roethlisberger got hurt his elbow. I have no idea what his status is going to be for either next week or the weeks coming up. James Conner got hurt in the same game, first quarter. They did not really miss a beat on that. Samuels is good. He's a good, competent backup. Their receiving core, yeah, listen, the Steelers have tried to rebuild on the fly a couple of times in the Mike Tomlin regime. And Mike Tomlin has not had a losing season. And I do believe that if he does have a losing season, he will be fired. I do believe that. Now, should he be fired? Absolutely not. Now, does the Mason Rudolph thing buy him a little bit of time? It should. And Mason Rudolph actually looked good today. The interception that he quote-unquote thrown, that was, I tell you, and I'm glad I brought that up too. Dante Moncrief stinks. Listen, brother, I told you Syracuse is going to get blown out. I see you, native Gadite. I told you about that. But, man, and I tell you what, your Giants stink too. But that's another story, man. Your Giants are dreadful, let me tell you. I mean, I know we have it bad as a Steeler fan. I mean, damn, Eli Manning, Jesus. I could throw a better spiral than Eli Manning right about now. I mean, he is bad. But again, let me keep it on the Steelers since this is a Steeler report. The Steelers normally do not fire their coaches, but we have to keep in mind who are we talking about? Mike Tomlin. And then, but I did see, I will talk about that in my other upload, which is the I Don't Give a F upload. Yeah, I will talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, Tyson Fury, I know he wasn't eating any steaks yesterday. He was wearing them on his eye. Because his eye, I mean, he looked like one of them mad balls. I don't know if you guys remember those. Where, I mean, the balls, they actually bounced a little high, but they had like weird, I want to say shapes to where it looked like an eye that was messed up or a watery eye. That's how bad Tyson Fury looked last night. And they gave him a decision. And then the stupid bastard had the nerve to talk about, oh, I want to fight you, Deontay Wilder, you bum. Are you serious? You barely walked out of that fight. And then, after like an eye jammy and a half, have the nerve to talk about you want to fight him again? Yeah, right. I hope Deontay Wilder knocks the shit out of him. Literally. I wanted him so hard that he shits in his pants in the ring. That's how bad I want him to get knocked out after that disgusting display. I mean, please. See, y'all got me off topic again. I'm supposed to be talking about the Steelers. This is supposed to be a Steelers report. But you know what? At least Tyson Fury was given the victory in his fight. The Steelers are 0-2. And I tell you what, I understand again that there's going to be a learning curve. I understand also with Mike Tomlin, it takes him about 4 weeks to figure out this team. This is going to be an offensive team. There's no question about it, and that, again, is a problem. Now, the Steelers' defensive line looked good for the first quarter and a half. I mean, they were punishing Russell Wilson. And the secondary looked half-assed decent, but their linebackers cannot cover tight ends. Once Vince Williams got hurt, it was all she wrote. They don't have... See, that's where they miss Ryan Shazier. Ryan Shazier could cover he could cover tight ends, he could cover running backs. Hell, Ryan Shazier ran a 4-3. He could cover some wide receivers. But the Steelers don't have that luxury anymore. Now, this kid will be able to eventually, but right now it's only week 2, and he got burnt out of position twice, giving up 2 ghastly touchdowns. I mean, it was ridiculous. Now, Russell Wilson, a lot of people will say he's a game manager. Russell Wilson is a winning quarterback. He is a guy, listen, you could say that, listen, Keith Butler should have been fired 3 years ago. I think Tomlin should hire his own coaching staff. They should give him the power to be the coach and GM. He's been there that long, but they won't do it. Listen, Big Ben is not. I don't know if Big Ben will play another game, depending on how bad this injury is. Now they'll probably try and tape him up. If he's 50%, they're gonna trot him out there. Even though Mason Rudolph actually looked pretty good, but see, Big Ben does not want to relinquish any hold on that team. Trust me, because he knows that this is probably his last season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I understand he's got guaranteed money, but the Steelers, if Mason Rudolph is any good, they'll cut bait with Big Ben and save that money. And plus, people are sick of Big Ben. You don't think that locker room's sick of him? I mean, he ran Antonio Brown out. He didn't exactly come to the defense of Le'Veon Bell. You know he's thrown Mike Tomlin under the bus. How many times? I'm sick of Ben. They should have drafted Haskins out of Ohio State. I really believe that. But they didn't, and here we are. They figured, let's get a quarterback on the cheap. Mason Rudolph, they got him in the third round. Washington was got in the second round. They have a rapport, and we'll just build on from there. That is not how you win championships. You have to have a real blue-chip quarterback. You can't dink and duck and try and save like that. I understand that a lot of times you get lucky, like a Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, but that happens once every 50,000 times. You have to have a real quarterback. And I tell you, I think that they do not develop their quarterbacks well enough. Josh Dobbs should have been still here as a Steeler. I just don't understand. If you're going to get rid of Josh Dobbs, you got to bring back more than a fifth-round pick. That's ridiculous. Get a third-round back, at least. A fifth-rounder, really? That's a special teamer at best. Are you serious? But that's good old GM Kevin Colbert. And, oh yeah, that great acquisition of Dante Moncrief. He stinks. Mason Rudolph put that ball right in his hands. I mean, it was like he was allergic to it. It bounced right up in the air and goes right to the Seattle defender for an interception. That's an absolute disgrace. I'm already sick of him. We could get another clown off the practice squad that's better than Dante Moncrief. My God, he stinks. Shoot, you could have had Darius Hayward-Bay do that. If the Steelers do not rush the quarterback, they are useless. That's secondary. I'm sick of Sam Davis. Joe Hayden is actually good. Now Sutton is nice. I like that acquisition. Their corners are actually better than their safety. Their safeties stink. I don't know what happened to the Steelers safeties, man. My God, they're terrible. That was a brutal game. And it looked like the Steelers would pull it out, too. But they just, this looks like this could be a long season. I could see us going 6-10, 5-11 this season. But if that's the case, I know Tomlin is gone. I hope not. I hope they give Tomlin the benefit of the doubt. But that's the only way that they should keep Kevin Colbert. And I don't like him. I'm going to be honest. I think Colbert is overrated. Like, he's good in the middle rounds. He stinks getting first-round picks. Now, this Devin Bush kid, I do believe, will be a star. But right now, he's not ready to cover NFL tight ends. He's not. Well, that's the problem, Mariah Recordings. They went away from that steel curtain mindset. And let's face it, the NFL has changed. It is more geared towards the quarterback, and the offense is much more now than ever before. See, back in the steel curtain times of the 70s, and you could even say the mid to late 90s, when it was Blitzburg, and we had guys like Greg Lloyd, Kevin Green, Jason Gilden, Levon Kirkland, those type of guys, Chad Brown, Rod Woodson in the secondary, Carnell Lake. When we had guys like that, the zone was much more effective because there wasn't so many three-step drops as there are now. Everything is side to side, get everybody out in space. And if you remember the Steelers of the 70s, they had trouble with speed running backs like Tony Dorsett, O.J. Simpson. They had trouble with those type of guys. They were good against power backs because the Steelers used to knock Earl Campbell silly. And yes, I am old enough to remember that. But the Steelers had problems with guys in space. They do. And that's another thing. That's why New England was able to do what they did. If you remember, last Sunday night, New England could not run the football at all. But they could throw the ball all over the lot. Because you can stretch them sideways. They do not have enough speed at the corner or at the safety position. All right, man. I'll talk to you later, good brother. But you can get the Steelers if you're a speed team. The Steelers have to work on speed at the secondary especially. But physically, they can still beat you up a little bit. Now, the Steelers have not been the same since Casey Hampton retired. And I like this kid, Hargrave. And I like Cameron Hayward. T.J. Watt is a good player. But they don't have that guy that can take up two guys and they can just rush whoever they want. And they don't have that guy. Listen, low-key, the Steelers miss Ike Taylor. See, when Ike Taylor was good, their secondary was tough. Because even though he dropped a lot of picks, and I tell you what, if Ike Taylor had hands, he might have been an all-pro. But he didn't, of course. But he could stick to you like glue. But once he got old, they've never truly replaced him. Now, Joe Hayden did a competent job last year, and that's the closest we've seen to a real corner in Pittsburgh in a long time. But the Steelers have whiffed so much picking cornerbacks, it's ridiculous. They need to bite the bullet and make a trade. Now, unfortunately, Patrick Peterson is out due to the PEDs and what have you. So he won't be available until week 6 for the Arizona Cardinals. And by then, the Steelers season might be over. But if the Steelers are within shouting distance of a wild card or even a division, they should think long and hard and go after Patrick Peterson. Because I'm pretty sure he would love to come here. And the Arizona scheme that he had been used to playing, they run that same scheme in Pittsburgh, trust me. He would be right at home in Steel Nation, trust me. But I don't think the Steelers will do that. Now, am I encouraged by what Mason Rudolph did today? Absolutely. Yeah, if the Steelers do start 0-3, it's it. But, in fact, I forgot who they play next week. I have to look that up. But I know it's an undefeated team. No, they play San Francisco next week. And I think they play them in San Francisco. That's a huge problem because if you saw what San Francisco has done the last couple of weeks, their offense is absolutely clicking, and our defense is not. That could be a huge problem for the Steelers. And I don't even like Jimmy Garoppolo, but that San Francisco offense, I mean, they were better than New England today, in my opinion. Because Cincinnati is a much better football team than Miami is. Miami, I mean, I don't even know if Miami can beat Clemson or Alabama at this rate. They're that bad. And that coach is horrible. That coach should be one and done. But they'll probably give him a couple of years to try and turn it around. I guess we'll just have to see what the injury status is for Big Ben and James Conner later on, either tonight or tomorrow when they do the press conferences. But until then, we will be waiting with bated breath and hoping that it's not serious, and hoping that the Steelers turn it around sooner rather than later. Please like, share, and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Claude White for the Steeler Report. Take care and God bless.